Any other elected officials that approve the minutes?
Good morning, Board. This morning I have for your approval the minutes of December the 19th, 2011.
Okay.
I'm sorry, December the 5th. I said the 19th.
Okay, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Move proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Claims.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the board. On Friday, the Chancery Clerk's Office sent you a packet for today's claims. The first item in that package is a schedule of an interfund advance to be repaid. This is repaid to the General County Fund from Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Grant number 16.803, which is your recovery grant. This is a whopping $500, but we would like to repay it at this time.
So it's been moved.
Second.
Second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. The next interfund advance was way more than the $500. This one again is to the General County Fund from Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Grant number 97.039, your hazard mitigation grant, and this is a repayment in the amount of $200,000.
All in favor to vote?
So
Second. Been moved proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. The first interfund advance this morning is to the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant. This is from the General County Fund in the amount of $8,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Move proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposers? Motion carried.
The next interfund advance is to the Byron Clinton North Railroad Corridor Fund from the Series 2007B Taxable GO Bond Fund in the amount of $50,000.
Okay. Move to approve.
Second.
Proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
The next interfund advance is to the Law Enforcement Liaison DUI grant from the General County Fund in an amount up to $15,000 as needed to defray additional expenses in the month of December.
Okay. Move to approve. Move.
Second.
Proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
The next interfund advance is to Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Grant number 16.804, which is your JAG recovery grant. This is in an amount up to $12,000 from the General County Fund as needed to defray additional expenses in December.
Move to approve. It's been moved. You have a second?
Second.
Move on to second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
And your final interfund advance this morning is to Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance Grant number 16.738, which is your JAG and JET grants. This is in an amount up to $5,000 as needed to defray additional expenses for December.
Okay. Move. How much?
Up to $5,000.
Move to approve. It's been moved.
Second.
Proper second discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
The next item in your packet was a schedule of an interfund loan. This is a loan to the General County Fund from the E911 Fund in the amount of $205,000.
What's the name for it?
Second.
It's been moved. Second. We move off second discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? No. Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. The next interfund loan is to the Jackson Hinds Library System Fund from the E911 Fund in the amount of $115,000.
Everybody voted?
So moved.
It's been moved. Second. Move off second.
That's a question. What is that one for?
The December allotment for the library system is on today's docket. It's like $120-something thousand, and this will help cover that so we can release that money to the library system.
But that's the first payment, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
First payment for
This
this year?
is their first loan this year, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? No. Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. The next interfund loan is... Hold on a minute, I'm missing one. The next interfund loan is to the Hinds County Economic Development Authority from the E911 fund in the amount of $30,000.
Okay, please move. Been moved. Do we have a second? Second. Moved on second discussion. All in favor?
Just because it's the same as the others?
Yes.
The authority, I guess, the taxes have not come in
That's
from the
correct.
authority. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Thank you very much. The next interfund loan is to the General County Fund from the E911 fund in an amount up to $1,150,000 to defray additional expenses in the month of December.
Thank you, Board.
So moved.
Been moved. Do I have a second? Second. Moved by second discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
The next interfund loan is also to the General County Fund from the Series 2007 Swap Fund in an amount up to $1,175,000 to defray additional expenses in the month of December.
Okay. Praise the Lord.
So moved.
It's been moved. We have a second. A second. Moved by second discussion.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
From the 2007 series fund,
Swap Fund.
swap fund,
From the swap funds. You will be borrowing this money probably until February 21st, I believe you have a meeting.
and we're not E911 money?
Yes, sir.
So now we're in the swap funds.
Yes, sir. That's what.
Okay.
Okay. Moved by second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. No.
Motion's carried. Okay.
And the final interfund loan this morning is to the General County Fund from the Series 2005 Swap Fund in an amount up to $675,000.
Okay.
And that's also to defray additional expenses for December.
Okay. Praise the Lord.
So moved.
It's been moved. Moved by second discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
How much was the total that we transferred down to the general fund just this morning?
Just this morning, I would say approximately $3 million.
Okay, thank you.
We have two special claims this morning. The first is to Ross Gibson and Associates LLC. It's in the amount of $2,020. This is the official bond for Sheriff-elect Tyrone Lewis, and we present that for your approval.
Move to approve.
It's been moved.
Second.
By second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried.
The second special claim this morning is to Cruz and Associates in the amount of $20,505.10. This is principal and interest on their Hinds County mental health note.
Move for approval.
It's been moved.
Second.
After second discussion. You said 20, oh yeah, it's 20,000. Okay. Moved by second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried.
Your claims this morning are claim numbers 1,137 through 1,391. The first claims of interest to the board were claim numbers 1,145 through 1,446, which were your Mississippi Valley Title Building utilities. And we present those for your approval at this time.
Move for approval.
It's been moved.
Second.
After second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried.
The next claim of interest was claim number 1,350 to Airwave Consultant Company in the amount of $94,680.90. This is for your 911 radio maintenance and site maintenance. We present that for your approval.
Thank you, Lord. So moved. Do we have a second?
Mr. President, I'm going to second your motion, but I still think that in the future we need to reevaluate that contract.
Okay. Moved by second discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
There were no other claims of interest this morning other than your claims over $100,000, which are claim numbers 1,140 to Bernini, Grantham, Brower, and Hughes in the amount of $2,146,700. This is actually just a reissue of the check that was approved at the last meeting. Claim number 1,143 is to United Healthcare. You wanted that separate, Mr. Fisher, I'm sorry. Let's take that one at this time. 1,143 is to United Healthcare / JP Morgan Chase in the amount of $548,907.69 for health for county employees and retirees.
Okay. Ready to vote?
So moved.
It's been moved. We have a second. A second. Moved by second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
I voted no.
Yes, sir. The remaining claims over $100,000, and we'll start again, is 1,140 to Bernini, Grantham, Brower, and Hughes in the amount of $2,146,700. That's your reissue check. Claim number 1,209 is to Jackson Hinds Library System in the amount of $127,858. That is their December allotment. Claim number 1,343 is to Mississippi Public Entity Workers' Compensation in the amount of $208,067.25. That's your January billed premium. And claim number 1,373 is to Waste Pro Jackson in the amount of $171,937.14. That is your residential garbage collection. And we present those claims over $100,000 for your approval at this time.
Move for approval. It's been moved.
Second.
Properly second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Your grant claims do appear to be in order this morning. The remaining claims are claim numbers 1,137 through 1,391, less claim numbers 1,140, 1,143, 1,445 and 46, 1,209, 1,343, 1,350, and 1,373. We present the remaining claims for your approval.
And the board.
Move for approval.
It's been moved.
Second.
Properly second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
We have the order approving the claims portion of the minutes for today, December 19, 2011, for your approval.
Move for approval.
It's been moved. Do we have a second? I second. Move by second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
All right, we will. I'll tell you what, we will. Okay, we will go to the projects. The items that we have individuals here. So let's start with the Old Capitol Green project. Will and okay.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, and to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for allowing us to come before you as a follow-up to our meeting last week. Last week, we came before you in the working session and presented information detailing the Old Capitol Green project, where we requested $13 million of the $20 million that was approved by the state of Mississippi in Senate Bill 3281 in 2009. I'm coming before you today to request an approval of that so that we can submit the information to our tax credit people that would need to complete our tax credits for February. But before I get into that, last week there were some property owners here, and I didn't get a chance to recognize them. Is it okay if I go ahead and recognize them?
Go right here, sir.
We have Mr. Buzz Miles, who's a longtime property owner in Old Capitol Green. Buzz, how long have you been in Old Capitol Green?
Since 1992, and then a second piece of property since 2004.
And he has been working with us since we have done the master plan with all the charrettes, changing of the zoning ordinance that we did in 2008. We also have Mr. Roland Lewis, a retired attorney. Mr. Lewis, how long have you been in Old Capitol Green?
Since '83, I bought there in 1920 and 1987,
18.
somewhere and I've been living there for about 25 years.
And he has developed
Court and Commerce Street.
And he has developed some residential units there that he's real proud of, and we've been down to see him. And we do really appreciate. We had more last week, but certainly we did get a chance to recognize them. Coming out of the meeting last week, there were just one issue, I think, that went unaddressed, and that was the city's participation in the development of Old Capitol Green. So today, Mr. Brookings is here and Mr. Tony Gaylor is here. I think Mr. Brookings is going to address that. There was a gap of $3 million that was presented, and the question centered around how we would fill that gap, and Mr. Brookings is here today to address that.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. Mr. President, members of the board, this is Jason Brookings, Executive Director, Jackson Redevelopment Authority. Good to see you all. We had a meeting a few weeks ago, Mr. Smith, Mayor Johnson, myself, discussing the Old Capitol Green project, and we just want to assure you that the City of Jackson Redevelopment Authority stands ready to assist this project. The gap that's there now has been adjusted in a way that the city is ready to move forward. I think with that project, we have, of course, some steps that we've got to take. And we've been busy with the Convention Center Hotel project, but I think in our first meeting of next year, we'll be ready to begin the process to approve some of the steps to issue bonds for the gap. So if there's any questions for the redevelopment authority.
I guess you said first of next year you're going to be prepared to close to assist in closing the gap.
Yes, sir. The redevelopment authority, as we try to assist projects, and we've got numerous projects again to include the Convention Center Hotel project, which hopefully sometime next year we'll be in a position to issue bonds for that, upwards of around $90 million. We have to amend our urban renewal plan, and that's just part of our process. It goes before the City Council, goes before the City's Planning Commission, and then back to the City Council for final approvals, making sure it fits within the city's comprehensive plan. So we'll be taking those steps after the first of the year.
One of the property owners just came in, Tanya Scott, the owner of the old Cadillac building at the corner of Court Street and State Street. We've been working with her and other property owners to start the project. Our first phase will start that. And the way we did a lot of the work with the zoning ordinance was that our garage could also serve as parking requirement for adjacent pieces of property. Those property owners we did not include at all in our pro formas, which we're going to turn over to Mr. Wallace, in that process. So the market is much larger than what we've presented, but obviously we can only speak for us. With a 480 stall garage, we're going to lease 267 of those directly for our commercial office building. We're building a residential unit that would contain an additional 154 residential units there, which according to the zoning office, zoning ordinance, each apartment there would have to at least lease one stall in that garage. So while we need 526, we're only building 480 because we know that we have that much in leases that we would be able to position to repay the $13 million.
Excuse me, I did want to speak to the size of the garage. It was, of course, originally a much larger garage, 888 stalls. The Jackson Redevelopment Authority owns 3 garages and 2 surface lots in the city of Jackson. One at the corner of President and Capitol, one at the corner of President and the Mid. Both of those are roughly 350 stall garages. And then we've got the one next to the Pinnacle and One Jackson Place. We currently lease that to Parkway Properties, but that is our largest garage at 1,700 cars. When we looked at the Old Capitol Green project and looked particularly at the parking garage that they were proposing, we had a lot of scrutiny. We've been in that business for a number of years, and we asked them to consider, downsizing it a bit because of the use of garages. A lot of people around here like to pull up to the front door, and so garages don't get used as often as sometimes we'd like them to be, but also this garage is different in that, say for example, Capitol Towers, that garage exists, and then on top of it is the rest of the office buildings and Capitol Club. This will be similar in that you've got people living on top of and office buildings on top of this particular garage. And that gave us the comfort level that we needed, that it would have basically guaranteed customers. And so we just wanted to speak to that. Again, a standalone garage, many times they are part of the community, but this one being more of a mixed-use development really adds to transforming that part of the city.
Okay.
What we're asking for today is that the county approve a resolution to apply for the $13 million from MDA for the purposes of developing a garage subject to the final arrangements with the city and our new market tax credits.
Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Are you, Attorney Beckley, are you representing the city?
I'm not representing the city.
Anyone to represent the city? Okay.
If we could, Mr. Smith, I'd like to hear from Mr. Wallace. I know there were some issues and concerns that he had last week. If you had a chance to talk with him and resolve those, or any updates on the information that you would like us with?
No, it doesn't sound like it's reached that point. I think we also have already done what you're about to do. We would have to look back in the minutes, but I thought a resolution was done for, you correct me if I'm wrong, for the entire $20 million with kind of the same language.
No, sir.
The last time we went through the process?
There were 3 resolutions done by Hinds County, and neither one of them stated the $20 million. One was a TIF approval in 2009. The second was done as July 2010 that did not address the $20 million. There were 3.
Okay.
The one in 2010.
This one, the one that you did approve, was done in 2010 that supported the state legislation when we were securing the $20 million. We had to show to the state legislature that we had the support of Hinds County since there was a change in the recipient of the money. The money originally was intended for the city of Jackson, but there were some concerns at that point with the then mayor. The other one was for a bridge loan that we would have to get as a result of securing the $20 million. So there's not one for $20 million. There's one for a TIF, there's one supporting the state legislation, and there's one for a bridge loan. But there was never one approving securing $20 million. Today, we're not after $20 million. We only need 13 based upon the downsized garage.
And that may be so. It's been quite a while since this has been done. So if I understand it, they're asking you to approve $13 million that would go towards the project, but it would be dependent on working out the final details as far as in the part that we're going to be concerned with, or that we would be giving you a recommendation on, is how much of that $13 million should you, the county, decide to approve, covering that portion of the loan. And as we evaluate it, our recommendation would be is that you're not going to cover any more than you're going to receive in revenue to cover. So that's a little further down the road. Is that what you're asking? They approve it contingent on the final documents be?
Yes, subject to us working out the balance, but we keep saying that it's a guarantee. What Full Spectrum has done is that we're saying that if there's any shortfalls on repayment, but that's based upon a contract, we're not there yet, but we're committing to that now. What we need is indication from the county to give to our new market tax credit consultants so that they could go ahead and make available the $5 million in new market tax credits that we have coming toward the garage. The garage is actually more than $20 million. And so, with the chill water plant. And so in order for us to get the equity portion of that, the new market tax credits, they need to start work now. The announcements will be made in February. And we have to show that there is commitment for the $13 million. But by then, hopefully, we will have a deal signed and come back before the board for final approval to enter into a public-private partnership to make it happen.
Mr. Attorney, I guess I'm trying to make sure you're on board is where we are and what the obligations are up until the point of all these variances are worked out. So, are we correct in saying that we're not guaranteeing it, but what we're doing is making the $5 million available. But the $13 million is not committed until such time all the information is worked out and brought back to the board.
Correct.
Yes, sir. The board may give authority to negotiate with Full Spectrum and other entities to look into a commitment of a $13 million loan pursuant to the legislation that was passed regarding this matter.
Okay. Okay.
Blake, are you comfortable with this at this point?
I'm not comfortable with it unless you have language in there that absolutely guarantees you are not committing $13 million right now. That down the road you have the ability to say, no, we decided we are not going to do it. And that's me. I haven't had an opportunity to look at all this. I haven't been involved in their new negotiations. But if you're committing yourself today to $13 million, our recommendation is you do not do that. You need some language that enables you to not have that money committed if, in fact, it comes up to the point where you're not comfortable with the deal. Always leave yourself a way out.
And that was why, Mr. President, I used the terminology authority to negotiate.
Yeah, and as long as Crystal is comfortable, I am. See, I'm not the attorney. I'm just telling you that the type of language I would be comfortable with is whatever Crystal is comfortable with being able to not guarantee something today that it would be available.
And that's
authority to negotiate is what my recommendation is, and Mr. Wallace would be involved in any negotiations that would be had with regard to commitments from the county.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, aside from your request that you're making this morning, asking this board to allow you all to move forward in negotiating your terms and conditions, I think sufficient information has been provided to this board to substantiate the repayment of the bond indebtedness. What I would like for you to do is read your resolution, and I'll be prepared to make a motion.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yeah, I need from that. Go ahead.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, sir. I made enough copies for, if I may.
Come get it from out.
Just for y'all's information, at least from my point of view, we want to move with an abundance of caution. There have been other instances in the past where dealing with the city of Jackson and ended up with the county getting 100% of the money paid back and the city none. And we want to make sure that that's not the situation here. And I don't want to go back into that history, but there are some examples I can give you, and that's what we're being cautious of. It's a great thing for Jackson. It's a great thing for Hinds County, but I have to go out to people in Byron, Raven, Clinton, Learning, and explain to them why it's a good idea for them to do this. And that's why we want to make sure that the guarantee is there, so that the county is not out losing money in the event worst case scenario happens, heaven forbid.
The resolution